Have you been told that you need to work on your mission, your vision, and your values in your company culture? Well, it's probably sage advice, but it's actually really hard to get started, especially if you are knee deep in the day to day work of your business. Well, I'm here to help you with that today. We're going to talk about how do you define your company values so that you can attract more support, more team into your business. Howdy, everyone. I'm Leslie Hassler. I own Your Biz Rules Business Coaching, and we work with women led service businesses to get them growing and scaling in a way that's profitable and sustainable so that you can do your great work, build a financial legacy, and have greater impact in the community. And this, my friends, in defining your company culture is important. And it's especially important if you are at that stage of expanding team. Let me tell you why you need company values. Most importantly, one of the biggest fears that especially women entrepreneurs tend to have in their business when it comes to hiring people is not only can you hire the right people, but can you trust them? Can you trust them to make decisions? Can you trust them to grow your business? Can you trust them to do the work like you would do? I'm here to tell you that defining a company culture is really important part of you being able to say yes and being able to trust people. Because if you think about it, if we were to define what are company values are standards, they're attitudes, they're beliefs and behaviors that the company deems desirable. Do you see how, like, by defining this element, you actually set out a playbook? You tell people what is inbounds, what is a score, and what the fouls are in your business. And if you do that, then you breed clarity for your team. And if it's clear, then people know the next action to take. I fully believe that as humans, we all want to do a great job. We want to contribute. We want to know that we're taking the right step. And defining a company culture and your company values is one way that we help our employees do a good job. So what are the benefits? Why should I create my company values? You might be asking yourself. Well, as a business grows and scales, we need these types of things defined, but there's so many more benefits to defining them. So let's go through some of those benefits. So first, this is killer. This is one of those differentiating factors between you and another business that can help you attract, retain, and engage your team. All right, this is your rally cry, if you will. This is the thing that people can make a connection to. Now, we talked in one of our recent videos about the employee value proposition and allowing our potential team members and current team members to build a connection, right? To build a tie that bind. And we'll put a link to that video in our article. But this is so important. But I think outside of that, at recruiting people, what it also does is it improves morale. And when you've got happy people working at your business, you're happy, number one. But number two, happy people get more done. They just are more productive. There's study after study after study that shows that happiness equals productivity. So we want to create this natural environment in our business that is happy and energetic and where people are getting things done, right? That is really desirable. We also, when you start to think of, okay, we've talked about the inside of things. When you have this company culture, then it's scalable, because if you implement it right, if you do the right things to implement it and support it and cultivate it in your business, then it becomes scalable, because you don't have to be the one singing the song all the time. Your team starts to sing the song. And as you bring in more team, your team is the one that's taking care of enrolling and saying, no, that's not how we do things. We actually do this because of this, right? And that is a huge weight off your shoulder. It takes almost the overwhelming nature of hiring team off your plate. Okay. But it also, if you look at externally, it will help you improve and build your brand reputation. And when you've got a strong brand, you are naturally attracting good clients, good team members, like we've talked about, good partners, good opportunities, because you've given more people a place to connect with you on. And that's super important. But I think perhaps the one that I love the most is that it is the foundation. It helps you create the opportunity for better systematic decision making. As you grow, you're not going to be able to make all the decisions, but you have to train your team on how to make the best decisions according to the playbook, your vision, your mission, your values, right? So I want to go just a little deep into this section because it's super important and let you see where the mission and the vision actually come in as well. So if you can imagine a pyramid, okay, at the top of the pyramid, the top third of the pyramid is your why. At the very pinnacle is your values, because chances are your values are never going to change. They're just a core construct of who you are and how you show up, or who your business is and how it shows up in the world. Okay, right under that, mission and vision, right? They're right there. And as you go down the pyramid, what you start to see is we get more specific and we get a shorter time bound. Okay, so if value is forever, it's infinite, then vision is usually like a 20-year thing. Mission is maybe 5 to 20 years. But then you start to get into the how. How are we going to achieve our why? And that how section is your goals and your strategies. And then you've got at the very bottom tier is like, what are we going to do to make the how happen so we can achieve our why? And that very bottom tier is all about action. And that's what you're doing today, tomorrow, next quarter, anything within about a 1 year span, if you will. That's your action. So you can see if you define the values way at the tippy top, you start to dictate everything down here. And listen, there are some difficult decisions that you make as a business owner. Wouldn't it be nice to have a litmus test to make some of those decisions against? And as you're talking with your team, you can actually say, well, one of our values is generosity. And so how can we be generous in this situation? Or maybe one of our values is transformation. How can we transform this from a negative situation into a positive situation? Like, it just gives you a framework to be able to make some of those difficult decisions and have difficult conversations. And even if you're not 100% on the board with what you're going to do, you actually feel good about it. So it might be that you decide to refund a client because it's in alignment with your values. Now, nobody likes to give away money in their business. It kind of feels counterintuitive. But I've just been in situations with business owners where we've had to make the difficult decisions, and to be in alignment with the values of the business was to do something like that. And I will tell you, after it's done, my business owners, my clients feel good about the decision. They don't second guess themselves. They don't worry about it. We put the learnings into place and we move on. And that's worth its weight in gold. So some really cool ways to do this. So how do you actually define your values? First thing I want you to realize is this is a heart, not a head exercise. So where people misstep when it comes to values, mission, and vision is that they try to do the right thing. They try to be right. Don't worry about people out here. Don't worry about their opinions right now. That's not what this is about. This is about finding what you react to in a positive way, something that is your heart song, something that pulls on your gut and you're like, yes, that, something that you're known for. Okay. Now, the way that we do this in my business is I actually give my clients a bank of words. It's like a 4-page document. I think there's 8 categories per page and about 15, 20 words per category. So this is a lot of words. And I give them 3 minutes. And this is the thing. I give them 3 minutes to react, not to think. If I gave them longer than 3 minutes, they would think. And I don't want them thinking. I want them feeling. All right. And I give them, and I just say, check or circle or highlight the ones that you respond to. And what we find is that those words that people respond to, words like integrity and honesty and respect and adventure and fun, they tend to congregate in a category. So then we can worry about what's the right word, but we know we're in the category of adventure, or maybe we're in the category of integrity, right? We can get so much closer. But after you see where those categories are, I want you to narrow them down. Here's what I have found. People can remember 3. So I really challenge my clients to get it down to 3. If you can't get it down to 3, okay, 5. But if you can't remember them all, if you can't recite them as the business owner, that one you can't remember likely does not need to be on the list, right? It's not a part of the soul. It may be supporting it, but it's not big enough to be part of the ones we defined. Okay, and then once you've got those, we're gonna sit with it. Values, I think I'm able to guide people to do quicker. We can get in the right ballpark quicker than we can with a mission or vision statement, because the mission and vision statements are a little bit more story oriented. They're a little more aspirational. They take a little bit more time. But the point of this is to sit with it. You're not going to be right today. You need the opportunity to say, is this really the one? And look at your team. If you've got team, how are we demonstrating this? Do I see this in our everyday life? And then come back, maybe even in a month, and look at the words again, look at your work again, and refine. So it's a process. It is almost like trying on shoes. Some are going to look really pretty, but they're going to be pinchy on the toes, right? Maybe that's not the right shoe. So we're trying on things and feeling our way into it, which means it does take a little bit of time. Who needs to be involved with defining your company values? Well, initially, your team, yourself. This needs to be a group exercise if you can pull that together, because you want everyone to be involved and feel the connection with it. If this is your first go around and it's just you, great, do that. Once you have that bank, then elicit more opinions. Ask your clients, ask your mentors and your advisors and the people that are around your business, your vendors, right? Ask them if they see this in your company. And if they do, ask them how. Because here is our last kind of help for you today is, what are the steps? Once you've got yours narrowed down and you're pretty comfortable with them, right? What are your steps that you can do to ensure the team supports the company values? Well, the first thing is we create value statements. And pretty much for a value, I want you to think, how do we show this? How do we demonstrate this to each other inside the team? How do we demonstrate this to our clients? How do we demonstrate this to the world? That's a way to write a value statement, because you want to give examples of what integrity looks like, what fun looks like, what innovation looks like. Okay. So then use them, like we talked about earlier, as a decision guide. When you're having to make tough decisions, pull out your values and go, okay, we're transformation, adventure, acceptance. Okay, so this is what we are. So how do we make a decision on this based on these values? Start to use it. Use it in your language, in your conversation with each other, and encourage your team to do so amongst themselves. Here's one that's really fun. Have a quarterly, employee recognition program where you're recognizing people who are personifying a certain value. I know for one client, we developed the Pineapple Award. Like the pineapple kind of summed all the values that this company had. And so they spent the whole year giving the Pineapple Award to each other to show each other and recognize when a value was in living form. You can also, though, wrap this into your sales, your marketing, like I said, and your recruiting process. Talk about it. I know one of my favorite, I guess, quotes that I've ever heard was from a leadership development conference. And somebody stood up there and it says, how long do I have to go about sharing our mission, our vision, and our values? And the gentleman that was on stage, he said, that point to where like you literally want to throw up if you have to say it one more time? They're like, oh yeah, I'm there. And he goes, yeah, you're just scratching the surface. So as the owner, you need to be the lead visionary in this area. It will pay off dividends. You will have a team that is enthralled to be working for your company. You will have a company culture that is contagious and compelling. And all of these elements really come back to helping you be able to grow your business, find the right team, hire the right support, all just by defining your company values. So we've covered a lot of ground today when we've talked about how do you define company values to attract the right support. We've talked about what they are, that the standards, the beliefs, and the behaviors of your business. We've talked about why you need company values, how it pays off, how to actually define those values for yourself, and then how to put them into action. So this is a great step, a great strategy on your growth and scaling journey. And I will say, if you've liked today's video, if you like today's topic, download our 7 steps to a rockstar team. You'll actually start to see how this all goes together as part of a hiring and recruiting process for your small business. And if you're interested in that, you can type Rockstar in the comments below. My team will take care of you, or you can go to yourbizrules.com/rockstar and be able to download it there. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you're doing super well. I'm Leslie Hassler with Your Biz Rules Business Coaching.